Hello everyone. So in this video I'm going to take a look at some recent airstrikes targeting bridges. Two of the videos are by Ukraine, one of them by Russia. Strikes on bridges are always worth a look as they give some clue as to the intentions in the area. So let's have a look at our first video. So this one is reported to be an AASM Hammer donated by France to Ukraine, being launched by a Ukrainian MiG-29. This is only a small bridge, and the hammer hits it on the side, not bang in the centre, but still an accurate strike to hit a bridge this size. We don't see much of an aftermath, so we can't tell what sort of damage this would have caused. Bridges, as we've seen in other videos we've looked at, and in the video we'll see later, are very difficult to take down. So, this is here the geolocation done by Blinska, a small bridge going over a small river called the Obesta River. You can see the bridge's size better on this view. So it's under 10 metres from end to end. But even a 10-metre bridge crossing a river, a 10-metre river even, is a serious obstacle for both Russia and Ukraine, needing bridging equipment sourced by Oddball to allow movement of vehicles again. This is in quite an interesting area. So you can see it's in Kursk along a main road leading from Rilsk and quite close to the border. To the bottom right, you can see Suja, which I'm sure you'll all remember. It's where Ukraine crossed the border and carried out a incursion into Kursk. Here it is, zoomed in slightly and on deep states. So it's near a settlement called Kozino. Now, I would guess that the reason that Ukraine downed this bridge is defensive in nature. Maybe there was a build-up of Russian forces in the area, and Ukraine decided to drop the bridge to try and prevent a potential border crossing in the region, and also Russia from using the bridge for that purpose. Such as Russia may be planning to take the border settlement of Katarinivka that you can see. Another possibility, Ukraine is actually planning an incursion here. This area is quite isolated, and if Ukraine crossed the border and took the settlement of Lokot, for example, that has a river on the southern side, Ukraine to the north and Ukraine to the west. So it would be quite a difficult place for Russia to dislodge Ukraine from. Personally, I think this is a defensive strike more than anything, to stop potential Russian operations in the area, rather than Ukraine planning another push over the border here in Kursk. I think it will be an area we need to keep an eye on for a bit. This you can see zoomed out overall. So this took place in Kursk region. Now, let's check out video number 2. This one is another Ukrainian strike. So firstly, you can see that this looks to be a much more substantial bridge than the one we looked at in the first video. Once more, it's AASM Hammer launched by MiG-29 here. And again, looks to be a very accurate strike. The Hammer looks to be a very accurate weapon sent by France, and Ukraine seems to use them well. This caused a big blast as it hits. We also see a bit of a view of the aftermath once the smoke clears. The bridge looks to be in a very bad way. Firstly, there's a hole in it, but you can also see that where it connects with the road, it looks very structurally damaged and weakened. I certainly wouldn't fancy driving over this in a BMP or a tank anytime soon. I expect Russia will do makeshift repairs to it to fill the hole. But again, as you can see where it connects to the road, it does look very badly damaged and very weakened here. So not a bridge I'd want to travel over. This is also in an interesting area too. This was a bridge near the settlement of Grafovska. The bridge basically separates the north and south part of the town, crossing over a small lake or maybe a reservoir. So, this strike basically cutting off the southern part of Grafovka, which is in Belgrade, from the northern bit. The bridge isn't as substantial as I first thought, but certainly bigger than the first bridge we looked at, measured at about 19 metres from end to end as seen here. This bridge is in Belgorod region, and is actually in an important area, which gives some clues as to Ukraine's intentions in Belgrade. So, this bridge is shown to be just south of Ukraine's push into Belgrade. Remember, Ukraine crossed the border into Belgrade a couple of weeks ago. That's still ongoing. Things are at a bit of a stalemate at the moment, however. Deep States, you can see, shows it as contested. But from Russia reports and some of the few videos we get in the area, Ukraine seems to have the full control of the area west of the blue line that I've added to the map here, including part of the forest near Demidovka. It is also possible that Ukrainian troops have a presence at the edge of Demidovka itself, as we saw videos, I think last week, showing Russian troops in the settlement getting drone dropped and they look to be taking part in combat operations, which does hint that combat may be taking place in the town, but that isn't 100% confirmed yet. We don't see too many videos from this area at all. Grafovka is south of this area, so Ukraine looks to have hit this in order to cut off a potential reinforcement place for Russia crossing the river. I'm actually surprised we didn't hit this bridge sooner, to be honest. When the Belgorod crossing was planned, I'd have thought this bridge would have been down then in preparation for that. Unless Ukraine initially hoped this would be like Kursk again, and they could push further into Russia. Now they've realised things are at a bit of a standstill and a bit of a stalemate, so they've decided to blow the bridge here and go on the more defensive in the region. But still, it is good to see that Ukraine is still active in Belgrade. Hopefully, they can push further and consolidate their positions here a bit more. Zoomed out, you can see this bridge is in the area highlighted by the blue circle here, in Belgorod region of Russia. Now, let's have a look at the Russian video. So, this video clip which is playing now shows Russia using an X-38 missile to target a bridge. This bridge is located in Ukraine. Now, we get a very clear video of the aftermath here filmed by Russia, and you can see the bridge has very little damage caused to it by the X-38, just a hole on one side. Now, that's not really a knock on Russian equipment as such. I've mentioned in the past, bridges are notoriously difficult to take down. We've seen similar Ukrainian strikes which just cause a hole on one side, whilst the bridge itself is still standing. So they are very tricky. This is here, near a settlement called Volokivka, and the road it's on is heading towards a settlement called Kharkiv. We could tell that with the video this was a very small bridge, and indeed it measures at just about 9 metres or so, as seen here. And once more, this is quite an interesting area. It's shown by the blue marker here, not far from where Russia crossed the border into Kharkiv. Things have become a bit of a stalemate with no movement on either side here for months. Russia crossed into Kharkiv in the early part of last year. Since then, Ukraine stemmed the tide a bit, ground things to a halt, but no progress on either side. Ukraine liberated a little bit of Vovchansk, but really, things are pretty much stuck here. So this strike could be defensive action by Russia here, downing this small bridge so Ukraine can't use it for the resupply and logistics of troops in the area. Or it could potentially be Russia planning to cross the border here again, and so making things more difficult for Ukraine in advance if it did so. This area is a smart choice for Russia to create a buffer zone on the border. That's their intention here. You can see there's a river running west to east, a natural barrier there, which would make dislodging them all the more difficult for Ukraine. Now, I haven't seen any mention online of a potential Russian build-up in the area though. So I am inclined to think that this strike was defensive in nature by Russia, cutting off logistics routes for the Ukrainian defenders in the region rather than planning another border crossing. This is here zoomed out, so this bridge is located in Kharkiv region. Now, I'm not too familiar with the X-38, but a photo of it is on screen now. It's quite a modern missile, an air-to-surface missile, entered service in about 2010. It has a range of around 70 kilometers. These are primarily launched by the Su-34, and it's a bit rare to see these in use. Russia typically tends to use glide bombs instead. We've seen plenty of videos of Russia using them, again launched by the Su-34 and Su-35. So a bit of a surprise to see an X-38 here. Maybe it's because we wanted the increased range for this one. Maybe because of the threat of potential Ukrainian SAMs in the area or something like that. Or the glide bombs were just a bit too inaccurate, so they went with a missile like the X-38 instead. Who knows, could be plenty of reasons really for using the X-38, but it doesn't seem to have done that good a job, just poked a hole in it. So that's it for this video, always worth having a look at bridges I think. Playing now is a video shared by United 24 Media. So they've launched a new fundraiser that they're doing. This is to raise $1,500,000 in order to demine some areas in Ukraine. The areas mentioned as being the focus of this are a hospital in Kherson region, forests in Kiev, and a school, kindergarten, park and playgrounds in Kharkiv. These areas were all heavily mined when Russia occupied them, mined by Russia, and many mines remain, some of them very difficult to find as they're hidden in and amongst civilian items. So United24 has launched a fundraiser to assist in the mine clearing operations. The donation link is in the description. Big thanks to everybody who helped out so far. Thanks so much for watching, and take care, everybody.